She's finally home. The murder of Paul Jones and the disappearance of Melody Jones. On Thursday, May 5th, 1983, Pottawatomie County, Oklahoma law enforcement began an investigation into the disappearance of 19-year-old Melody Ann Jones after she failed to show up for her shift at the local Dairy Queen. A family member went to Melody's home, where she lived with her husband Paul Jones, and found a grisly scene. Paul was lifeless on the bedroom floor, the victim of multiple stab wounds, and there was no sign of Melody. Investigators quickly called for assistance from the OSBI, but little, if anything, was really uncovered. For nearly 40 years, that case grew cold, until this past summer. Case Update. On Wednesday, August 7th, 2024, officials from the Pottawatomie County Sheriff's Office publicly announced that they had positively identified human remains as those of the missing Melody Ann Jones. However, they noted, the actual collection and recovery of Melody's remains was not a recent process, but one which had occurred more than 20 years earlier. According to a statement issued on social media channels for both the Sheriff's Office as well as the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, they had been in possession of the missing woman's remains since approximately October of 1998. At that time, human remains described only as a partial skull were found in a yet undisclosed section of rural Seminole County. After excavation of the site, the remains were transported to the office of the Oklahoma Chief Medical Examiner to determine the cause and manner of death, as well as an identity for the unknown victim. According to authorities, multiple attempts to obtain an identification of the body were made over the passage of nearly 26 years, but all were unsuccessful. However, in the summer of 2024, staff at the medical examiner's office obtained the quote-unquote necessary resources for additional testing. On Wednesday, August 7th, these new resources resulted in a positive identification of Melody Ann Jones. Multiple articles have noted that the additional testing, which ultimately confirmed her identity, was paid for by a grant issued to the OSBI. Her body was officially recovered 14 years after her husband Paul was murdered in their home and she had mysteriously disappeared. For the next 2 decades, her body remained in the possession of the medical examiner until it was finally identified.